Stop waiting. Start becoming. Welcome to Becoming with Beck, the podcast for those ready to shift their mindset, lead themselves, and manifest intentionally. If you know you're meant for more, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to Becoming with Beck. I'm your host, Beck Robinson, and thank you so much for joining me today. I want to talk about something that is so simple that most people completely overlook it. No equipment, no app, no special conditions required. You can do it alone. You can do it with your baby in a pram. You can do it on your lunch break or first thing in the morning before the world wakes up. And before you think, okay, Beck, I came here for deep stuff, stay with me. Because what I want to share today is not about steps or fitness or burning calories. It's about what walking does to your brain, your nervous system, and your identity. And once you understand the science behind it, I promise you will never look at your walk the same way again. Walking might just be the most accessible and most underrated tool we have for doing the inner work, for shifting our state, for embodying a new version of ourselves and genuinely, neurologically rewiring who we are. So let's begin. Let's start with the science, because I think when we understand what's actually happening inside our bodies and brains when we walk, it stops being a casual activity and starts being a conscious practice. When you walk, especially at a rhythmic, moderate pace, your brain produces something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Scientists sometimes call it miracle growth for the brain, because what it does is promote the growth of new neurons and strengthens the connections between existing ones. This is neuroplasticity in action. The same neuroplasticity that, as we've talked about before, is the foundation of all real identity change. And you can trigger it simply by putting one foot in front of the other. But it goes further than that. Walking is a bilateral movement, meaning it activates both hemispheres of your brain in an alternating rhythm. Left foot, right brain, right foot, left brain, back and forth, back and forth. And here's why that matters for our work. Bilateral stimulation, the kind you also find in EMDR therapy, in drumming, in certain breathwork practices, has a profound effect on how the brain processes and integrates information. It helps you move stuck emotions through the body. It creates a state of calm alertness that makes you more open, more creative, more receptive to new ways of thinking. You cannot think your way out of a mental or emotional state from within that same state. Walking physically changes the state first. Think about the last time you were stuck in an anxious loop, spiraling over something, going around and around in your head. You probably weren't going to logic your way out of it. But if you got up and went for a walk, something shifted. The rhythm of your body interrupted the rhythm of your mind. That's not an accident. That's neuroscience. Walking also regulates your nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state, which is the exact opposite of the fight or flight response that keeps so many of us stuck in survival mode. And here's why that matters for manifestation and identity work specifically. You cannot access your higher brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for imagination, for decision making, for possibility thinking, when your nervous system is dysregulated. You are literally neurologically incapable of it. So if you have ever sat down to journal or visualize and found your brain totally blank or your inner critic louder than ever, it might not be a mindset problem. It might be a nervous system problem, and a walk might be exactly what you need first. Okay, so now we know what walking does physiologically. Let's talk about how to use it intentionally for identity work, because this is where it gets really exciting. I want to revisit something we've explored on this podcast before. The idea that identity change is not just a mental exercise. It's not enough to think new thoughts. You have to embody them. You have to get them into your body, your nervous system, your biology. And this is exactly where walking becomes such a powerful tool, because it gets you out of your head and into your body. It puts you in motion, literally and metaphorically. You cannot become someone new by staying still. Movement is part of becoming. Here's a practice I want you to try. I've been experimenting with this myself, which you would have heard, and the shift it creates is genuinely noticeable. Before you go for a walk, take 60 seconds to get clear on who you are becoming. Give her a name if it helps. The version of you who is confident, grounded, clear. The version of you who trusts herself, moves through the world with ease, and knows her worth. And then walk as her. Not performing it for anyone, not faking it, but genuinely asking, how does she walk? What's her pace? Where does she look? Down at the footpath or up and out at the world around her? What's the quality of her breath? Is her jaw relaxed? Are her shoulders down? What is she thinking about as she moves through the world? This is embodiment. This is what it means to mentally and physically rehearse a new identity, not just in a meditation, but in a moving, breathing, present body experience. And because your nervous system responds to physical cues, the way you hold your body, the pace of your movement, the quality of your breath, you are actually creating the neurological and biological conditions of that new self in real time. This is not performance. This is practice. There's a difference. I want to briefly mention my own experience here because I started doing this on my morning walks, and what struck me was how quickly the physical shift preceded the emotional one. I didn't wait to feel like the new version of me before I started walking like her. I walked like her, and then almost without trying, I started to feel like her. The body led, the mind followed. That's the power of working top down and bottom up at the same time. There's also something deeply symbolic about walking for identity work that I don't want to gloss over. When you walk, you are literally moving forward. You are leaving one place and arriving somewhere new. You are in transition, physically, spatially, in your body. And there is something about that physical experience of forward motion that the subconscious mind finds very compelling. You are not sitting still, hoping to change. You are moving. You are already in the act of becoming. Let's talk about manifestation, because I think walking is one of the most underutilized tools in this space, and I want to change that. Here's the thing about most manifestation practices. They require you to sit still, get quiet, and conjure elevated emotions from within a body that might be stressed, scattered, or just flat. And for a lot of people, especially those of us who are busy, who are in the season of life that doesn't leave much space for stillness, that's hard. Walking removes that friction entirely. And I want to mention, I have created walking meditation audios specifically designed to guide you through this practice. So if you're someone who finds it easier to be led rather than self-direct, those are available for you. The link to access them is in the description below. The gratitude walk. This is one of the most accessible and most powerful for shifting your baseline emotional state quickly. As you walk, you generate genuine gratitude, not as an affirmation you're reciting, but as a felt experience. You look for things in real time to be genuinely grateful for. The warmth of the sun, the fact your body is moving, a tree you walk past, your breath, the birds you hear. And here's why this works in the context of manifestation. According to neuroscientists like Joe Dispenza, gratitude is one of the highest frequency emotional states you can produce. When you sustain it, you shift your neurochemistry, You move out of survival mode and into what Dispenza calls an opened, coherent, elevated state, which is exactly the internal environment from which new things can enter your life. Gratitude also trains the reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters reality, to look for more things to be grateful for. You start noticing abundance instead of lack, opportunity instead of obstacle, and that shift in perception changes everything. The scripting walk. This is where you use the walk as a moving visualization. Instead of sitting and imagining your desired future, you walk and narrate it out loud if you're somewhere private, or internally if not. You speak in present tense, not I want or I will, but I am and I have and I love. You describe your life as if it's already unfolding, your business thriving, your relationships nourishing, your health vibrant, your mornings spacious. You walk it as if you're walking through it for real. What makes this more powerful on a walk than sitting still is two things. First, your body is already in motion, which means your nervous system is already in a more open, alert, receptive state. Second, the physical act of moving through space while narrating your desired future outcomes creates a felt sense of already being in it. You're not observing your life from the outside, you're moving through it. Walk as if you are already living the life you are calling in, because in your nervous system, in this moment, you are. The identity affirmation walk. This one is simple and incredibly effective, especially if traditional affirmations have felt flat for you in the past. You choose one or two identity-based affirmations. I am someone who trusts herself. I am the woman who receives easily. I am a person who takes up space. And you repeat them in rhythm with your steps. The bilateral rhythm of walking actually helps anchor those affirmations into the body in a way that sitting still doesn't. Each step reinforces the statement neurologically, and over time, what started as an affirmation becomes a felt truth. The key, and I cannot stress this enough, is to choose affirmations that feel like a stretch, not a lie. Something your body can move toward even if you can't fully land there yet. If it feels completely false, your nervous system will reject it. But if it feels like the next version of true, lean in. I want to get really practical here because I know life is full and adding a new practice needs to be simple. Start with 15 minutes. You don't need an hour. You don't need the perfect morning routine. 15 intentional minutes on a walk with a clear purpose will do more for your identity and your manifestation practice than an hour of distracted scrolling ever will. Ditch the podcast, at least sometimes. I say this as someone who loves a podcast, but if you are always consuming while you walk, you are never creating. Some of your most powerful shifts will come in the silence. Let your mind wander to your vision. Let your body lead. Give yourself the gift of unstructured mental space. Make it a ritual, not a task. Before you step outside, take a breath and set an intention. Who are you walking as today? What are you cultivating? What emotional state are you choosing to inhabit? Even 30 seconds of intention setting transforms a walk from exercise into a practice. Be consistent over perfect. A 10-minute walk in the rain where you spent half of it distracted is still worth more than no walk at all. You're building a habit. You're building a neural pathway. You're building a relationship with yourself as someone who shows up. That consistency compounds. You don't need more tools. You just need to use the ones you already have more intentionally. Here's what I want you to take away from today. The most powerful practices don't always look the most impressive. Walking is free. It's available to almost everyone. It requires nothing from you except your body, your breath, and your intention. But used consciously, used as a tool for embodying your new identity, for regulating your nervous system, for practicing elevated emotional states, it becomes something extraordinary. So this week, I want to give you one simple challenge. Take one walk, just one, with a clear intention. Walk as a version of you that you are becoming. Feel what it feels like to move through the world as her. Breathe like her. Look up as her. And if you'd love some support with that, I've created walking meditation audios you can pop in your ears and let me guide you through the whole thing. The link to access them is sitting right there in the description. Go grab it. And then notice what shifts, because becoming isn't something that happens to you. It's something you practice, one step at a time. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this landed for you, share it with someone who needs a genuine reminder that the smallest practices can create the biggest shift. And be sure to leave a review and a comment, as it really, really supports this podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today, and enjoy the rest of your week. I will talk to you next week. Bye.